So in a previous video, we talked about Donald Trump's approval rating and how it's hit an all-time low, the lowest in 80 years, the lowest since Harry S. Truman. Actually, there was only one other one lower than him or Harry Truman, and that was Donald Trump, his first go-around during his first presidency. So Donald Trump is 2 out of 3 in the last 80 years for the worst approval ratings at this point in his presidency. And we're not shocked because we all knew that his campaign promises were bullshit. We knew the only ones that he was actually going to keep was dictator on day one and terminating the Constitution and arresting anyone that disagreed with him. We knew that stuff was coming, but we knew we weren't going to get cheaper eggs. We knew gas wasn't going to be a nickel a gallon. We knew that the grocery bill wasn't going to drop to 20 bucks. We had common sense about it, but his followers don't. And so now there's a whole lot of people who are starting to voice their disapproval. There's a whole lot of people out there with buyer's remorse who now realize, hey, these people that were warning us weren't being hyperbolic. We really are getting screwed. And so his approval rating is at an all-time low. But we really should have done a prediction at the end of that last video I made. We may start doing that now because it's really easy to predict where MAGA will take it and where Trump will take it. And we absolutely should have saw this one coming, folks. We should have saw this one coming. He has the worst approval ratings of the last 80 years. What does he do? He threatens to investigate the polls. Yeah, he's threatening to investigate the polls. And he says these are sick people and they're making this up because this has been the greatest 3 months in American history. We're in a golden age, he says. See, Donald Trump lives in an alternate reality. And when he brainwashed his cult, he took his cult over into this alternate reality. At least Jim Jones just took his out of the country and started Jonestown. At least he took them far away from us over here. Unfortunately for us, we're stuck here with Donald Trump and his cult, and they're not going anywhere. He's not going to take them down to a compound in Waco. They're all here, and they're in every state, and they're in every corner. And so he took them with him over to this alternate universe where they cannot entertain for 1 second that someone would disagree with them, that someone would speak out against them, or that he could ever make a mistake. And I want to say this. I have voted, ever since I was old enough to vote in every election, I have voted straight down the line Democratic. I know I've voted for Republicans in local elections because I'm in the buckle of the Bible Belt, and so there's no other choices when you're voting for the magistrate, the guy that's going to fix your potholes. You know, you're pretty much going to be voting for a Republican in this part of the world. But when it comes to the House, the Senate, the presidency, I have always straight down the line voted for Democrats. The first Democrat I ever voted for president was Al Gore, and then I voted for John Kerry, and then I voted for Barack Obama twice, and then I voted for Joe Biden. I have always voted for the Democrat. But when an approval rating came out that they said their numbers had dropped and they were at their lowest point, whatever that point was, and they said Obama's approval is down or Biden's approval is down, or whoever, their approval rating is down, I never stopped and really questioned it. I never stopped and said, is that a fake poll? I bet that's a fake poll. I never said that because I disapproved of things they did too. Because I'm not in a cult and I don't worship them as individuals, and I hold them to account. So there's plenty of times that they let me down. There's plenty of times that they didn't really do what I was hoping they would do. So there was plenty of times, had I been polled, that I would have said, I voted for this person and I may vote for him again, but right now I don't approve of what it is they're doing. But Trump supporters don't think that way because he brainwashed them not to think that way. They're brainwashed to believe that everything he says is gospel, and anything that dare questions him or paints him in any negative light, it's fake news. I'm not going to play the clip because I played it before, but he said himself, I call it fake news when it speaks badly of me. That's when I say fake news. Whenever it's something good, I say they're the best network in the world and they should be praised. But if it's bad, I call it fake news and I do it to discredit them. He said that out loud. So it shouldn't shock anyone that now he's saying this about ABC and he's going to threaten to investigate and threaten to look into this, because in his world, it was the best first month. It was the greatest second month. It was the greatest third month. And he's had people calling him and telling him about how great it was. And that's what's so sickening about this dude. So many people who have worked with Trump have came out later and said that the guy just has to be praised constantly. And you have to tell him he's doing wonderful constantly. And if you don't, his feelings gets hurt. Which is exactly how his followers are. They're one and the same. If you have sat and watched Donald Trump and the way he handles himself and the way he does business, and then you look at any of his diehard MAGA supporters, whether they be someone else in government with him, or whether they be somebody you work with. It doesn't matter. They all have the same approach, which is we're in the greatest era ever as long as he's in. We have to make America great again by electing one man. Just one dude's going to do it. He's going to save the day. And it was only great between 2017 and 2020. It was only great right through there. And then when Joe Biden took over, it was bad. And we had to make it great again. And the only guy that could make it great again, they could never entertain that it might be someone else in their party. No, the only guy that can make it great again is the guy that completely bungled it his first go around. So they're going to let him have a second shot at it. And then when it doesn't become great soon enough and people calls it out and points it out, instead of owning up to it and going, hey, we got screwed, or hey, we disapprove of the way he's handling things, they flip the script and say, oh, we're just living in a land flowing with milk and honey. This is the greatest country of all time, and we're doing better than we've ever done. And just wait and see, man. He's playing chess and they're playing checkers. That's just another little catchy catchphrase they came up with. They can throw it on a bumper sticker, throw it on a t-shirt, wave it around on a flag. He's playing chess, they're playing checkers, man. And they'll just roll with it. Meanwhile, we're over here trying to figure out how to put the toothpaste back in the tube. So what I say that people like us needs to do in the middle of this madness, while they sit there and pout and whine about a poll, we just need to keep talking about the issues at hand. And I want everyone to know that I absolutely support a living wage. I think the minimum wage is bullshit. I think it should be way higher than it is. I don't know the exact number that it should be, but I know in 2025, $7.25 is insane. And anyone still beating that drum and saying it should stay there or drop lower is an absolute imbecile that doesn't even deserve to. I mean, just don't engage with that kind of crap, because when you do, if you argue with an idiot, they'll just drag you down to their level and beat you with experience. You jump in the mud with a pig, you're just going to get muddy. They're going to love it, and you're going to look like an idiot. These people that makes that argument, they're a lost cause. So I believe people should be paid. I believe people should have a hand to play in this world. I believe universal health care is a thing. I believe health care should be a right that we all have. I would like to see our tax dollars go to pay for that. I think when you go to the doctor, it should be free. I think college should be too. I think people should get an education. And I don't think the government should dictate I don't think they should interfere and say you got to write the rule book and teach what we say teach. I think that's bullshit. I think women should have control over their own bodies to make their own medical decisions. The government, the ministers, the guy next door, no one should have a right to tell a woman what to do with her body. And for those that says, well, but they just kicked it back to the states, I don't care how far they kick it. The states don't have that right either. It should be the woman's right to choose and do with her body what she wants and make her own medical decisions. I believe that gay and trans people should be able to live the life that they were born to live. I believe that every marginalized group out there should have the same shake in this world as everybody else. I believe that we should all have freedom of speech and freedom of expression, including the assholes. But when I say that, that doesn't mean you can pull fire. You can't yell fire in a crowded room. You can't pull a fire alarm and yell fire. That doesn't count. And you can't go to the Capitol and beat police officers over the head when you lose an election. That's not free speech. And you can't sit here and say 2 + 2 = 78, because if you get fact checked, that's not us trying to censor you. That's just the facts of life, and you're going to have to learn to deal with it. But if we would talk about the issues and talk about what we stand for and point out that we don't worship one person. We can wrap our mind around the idea that Joe Biden had low approval ratings because we didn't always approve of him either. It's because we're not in the cult. So we keep driving the point home of what we stand for. We keep pointing out how they stand for nothing other than Donald Trump, and eventually maybe enough people in the middle and enough moderate people and enough free-thinking people will start to realize that, hey, we've got to put our differences aside and stand together against this madness. And you're going to hear me saying that a whole lot. You're going to hear me say a whole lot, especially the people on our side of the aisle. You're not always going to find someone that agrees with you on every single thing. You're going to disagree with them on certain things. But we got to come together for the greater good, and we got to come together for the issues at hand, because Donald Trump doesn't. Donald Trump only cares about himself, and he's only going to bat for himself. And he's throwing a bone to the people that cheers for him. That's it. He's just throwing them a bone to keep them supporting him, keep them coming back. The more of those people that he loses, the more he's going to fade away. And he will in time. I know a lot of people says, Brando, I can't see it. I don't think he's ever going to go away. Hey, I understand. He's like whack-a-mole. You think you got him, and it just keeps popping back up. But we will continue to call it out. And this ain't fake news, Donald. We don't like you, okay? We do not like you. Maybe I'll put a poll up on my channel and we'll ask you all what you think of Donald Trump. What do you think of the last 100 days? I promise you, the people that chimes in to say we ain't enjoyed it and we think democracy is being overthrown and we think that we got a dictator, those are the comments you're going to see, and that ain't fake. That's how people truly feel. When I go out to these protests, I talk to people, I meet people. That's what they're feeling. And I believe deep down a lot of his voters are feeling that too, and they will quietly answer in a poll. They'll quietly answer behind closed doors, but they just can't say it out loud on social media, because the minute that they hold him to account, then they have to be held to account. And they want to be able to just go through life being wrong about everything and never having to be held accountable for shit. So we're going to be in this for the long haul. And he is going to threaten to anyone who disagrees with him, any judge, any journalist. The day will probably come, any YouTuber, anyone making videos. The day will come, and I'm not trying to be hyperbolic. Let's just look at his track record. Look at what he's doing. I'm not being hyperbolic about it. This is everything we said he would do, and this is what he's doing. But we will keep calling it out. We've got a lot of work to do, folks, and we got to keep moving this country forward, and we will. We are on the right side of history. Don't ever forget that. We are. And we're going to be in for the long haul. This guy has occupied way too much of our time. We should be in a completely different place in 2025. But sometimes you don't always get the hand you wanted. But you have to play the hands you've been dealt. We've been dealt this hand, and it's all in how we hold ourselves together. An old buddy of mine told me one time years ago, he was a really good card player. And he won all the time when he wanted to. And I asked him, I said, well, ain't cards just a game of luck? I said, if I just dealt a hand and you got dealt a shitty hand, then ain't you pretty much defeated right there? He said, well, yeah, if I immediately lay down, then I am. He said, but I tell you what, he said, I learned how to play the game. And he said, I learned how to play my cards. He said, and let's say that you had a full house and I had a pair of twos. He said, I could probably make you fold that full house, think you had nothing. He said, sometimes you just have to learn to deal and play the hand that you've been dealt. We got dealt a really shitty hand in this last election. We got dealt a pair of twos. But we got to sit here and we got to hold it together until we make them fold that full house and put MAGA to bed forever.